By acknowledging and leaning into the difficulties of WPA work, we can recognize that sometimes we fail, and that's okay. Sometimes upper administrators order us to do work despite our own plans, needs, or priorities, and we often have to cater to those administrative whims. Sometimes we feel bullied from many directions, and that's never justified. And both in our lives and on our campus, change is constant and unrelenting. And, well, that's the human condition. This video presentation will help you identify challenges in managing workload by understanding your own work habits, strengths, and challenges. It will encourage you to imagine your ideal work week and compare it to your actual work schedule. Then you can consider what factors may allow you a better balance between work and life, and what may hinder those possibilities. Now, you should pause, reflect, and write about the prompts that will follow. These questions should help you take stock of your current work/life balance and offer you strategies of tracking your WPA labors. In an honest assessment of your labors, create a list of your duties or upcoming duties and the amount of time you devote or plan to devote to those efforts. Do you feel that these duties garner attention and respect from your departmental colleagues and those who supervise your work? What conversations could you have, and with whom, to ensure that the right people understand the value and extent of your WPA labor? Pause and take 10 to 15 minutes to write about these questions. One way to understand more about your workload habits is to track them in a workload management software. You can find many of these types of free applications by Googling workload software. Here's one example of a tracking chart and its accompanying breakdown graphic. You will see on the chart below that the top list designates the types of labor that you perform, while the left-hand column lists the dates of when you did that work. While this chart covers a 7-day period, you may want to track your workload for a longer period as a way to gain a more accurate picture of your contributions. This visual could come in handy if you need to describe to a boss who constantly gives you more work, yet never more time or resources to do it. For this person, you need to convey that something else will have to give. These distribution of commitments will also lay out a deliberate schedule of your 40-hour work week. Here, you will see an example of a deliberate schedule where you could track your work commitments as well as your personal life activities. This deliberate schedule helps you to foresee, plan, and make allowances for time and effort. The next example, sticky note scheduling, allows you to lay out your week's activities in a visual form that will also offer the pleasure of crossing things out as you complete each task. The rule of thumb for sticky note scheduling is that if you can't list one day's work on one sticky note, you probably can't get that amount of work done in the allotted time. Beyond just listing your things to do, you should also prioritize those tasks in levels of urgency and importance. If a major project is upcoming, what preliminary work needs to get done to make that initiative a success? The Eisenhower method, also known as the Eisenhower matrix, organizes duties and tasks in order to figure out their priorities. This method is attributed to President Dwight Eisenhower, who stated, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." As a WPA, you will need to attend carefully to the urgency of duties, as you will have many that will compete for your time. If you start to experience duty creep, where more duties find themselves on your desk, you will need to negotiate your time availabilities to reprioritize what gets done first, or not at all, and what clear responses you will need to give those around you. These timeframes should take into account short and long-term goals, as well as the people power and other resources you will need to achieve your goals. Additionally, for your own benefit and positive state of mind, you should document how your work has advanced institutional missions and plans as a means to justify the specific resources you need to continue that work. In facing a heavy WPA workload, you should find ways to save time and effort, including using templates for frequently produced documents, keeping good records that will allow you to access the necessary information that you need, delegating appropriate tasks to supportive administrative staff, and using on-demand videos for FAQs and repeated professional development. As a means to sustain your WPA energies and creativities, you should allow yourself space and time during the week to reflect upon long-term projects that would feel fulfilling. Also build in reading time into your weekly, monthly schedule. Identify 2 to 3 WPA or teaching-related articles to read that don't necessarily relate to specific projects or initiatives. Read outside the field and something more than academic articles. Connections for creative labors are everywhere, but limiting your scope of reading can limit your capabilities of discovering these inspirations. Jot down ideas, thoughts, and realizations after big meetings, discussions, or readings. Finally, consider these 3 connections to which you should dedicate yourself as you proceed in your everyday WPA labors. You should remember to connect to self by identifying one non-work activity to which you'll commit. You should remember to connect to values and identify one thing you can do to remind yourself of your values and things that keep you happy and motivated. You should remember to connect to others by identifying one person to take to coffee, to have a tete, and you should identify one person to whom you can send a thank you card. Hopefully, gratitude will become contagious and rampant on your campus. Stay healthy and happy.